All right. Thanks for joining us today, everyone. Today is about agent confidence. Agent confidence. So we got lots of good slides and information for you. And remember, after this, reach out to Debbie or myself. We're happy to go over it more in detail, one-on-one, because everybody has different, things that they are concerned about and think are important or not important, or things that they need to work on with their scripts or dialogue to clients. So we always like to do one-on-one, to get to the root of what's most important to you. So, but let me share my screen here. Share screen. Lay there. All right, Deb, I'll let you run with it.
You can go to the next one if you
Next one.
want,
There we
Michelle.
go. That next one.
So what we're talking about is your confidence as an agent, right? So sometimes in the real estate industry, you start doubting yourself when you're talking to people and someone brings up something else and you're like, well, wait a minute, maybe that's not exactly the way that this is supposed to go. And the more I will tell you, and this is mostly for brand new agents, but not really, because there's some agents that have been in the business for a long time and maybe they don't do a lot of business, so they're not used to talking to people every single day and stuff. And the more that you do work on your business and know things, the more you will get better at this, right? So even when you think that everybody knows more than you, it's like, well, some people do and some people don't, but you will get there as long as you are practicing your things all the time, right? You're totally overwhelmed. And that could very well happen if you are working in real estate and you're also doing a job or two jobs and you have children and stuff. So then you have to work on your prioritizing things and make sure you're doing your time block, because that will help a lot of that. And how can you compete with others? I bet you Tony can answer that question. How do you compete with others, right? When you're new, you
Right.
learn, right?
You learn and you use us, Debbie and myself. We've been in the business a long time, and you have a manager and a broker behind you. I always use the term when you're, especially our new agents, like you said, and wondering if they have confidence. Like use the example, if you're a new server in a new restaurant, uh, do people walk out of the restaurant? They go, "Oh, my server's new. I'm out of here." So that kind of mentality. You're a new agent. You're in the front line, but there's people behind you, like Debbie and myself, that know what we're doing and will tell you what to do. And then the more questions you ask, the less you have to ask them. So your clients are going to be okay as long as they know there's people behind you that know what they're doing, and you're going to ask them the question. So hopefully that made sense.
It does. And also, we're going to get into the subconscious now and why it's important to pay attention to what your thought processes are, right? Because the when you're trying to sort things out, you go to your subconscious when you're trying to work on things. And you have to try and lead yourself into the positive way of thinking about things instead of the negative way. Um, when something's newly introduced, our subconscious starts screaming all these things about, no, I don't want to do this, I can't do it. Guess what, we're in that situation right now. Every single one of us is, with all the changes in the real estate that's happening right now. So you just have to make sure that you are pushing yourself to learn everything that you can and to portray confidence, right? So um,
And
this
and the
example right here says lead generation will be fun and profitable. That is your subconscious screaming positive things instead of negative things of, I'm just going to wait for people to reach out to me. Because which one is going to get more business in your way, right? The positive or the negative?
the great thing, it's every day it's proven that everybody has the ability and everybody has the opportunity, because we have agents that sell a lot of homes and make a lot of money, and some that make no money, and they all have the same things. There's nothing our top agents have. They don't have like some type of system or tool or knowledge that you can't have. So we don't. Their top agents don't we don't tell them something that we don't tell our lower end ages, like, oh, don't, this is a secret, don't tell that. No, everybody has the same knowledge, the same support, same tools. It's just what you work with it. It's, and like, in a lot of our new agents hear me say this a million times, like our office is like one of those fancy, huge gyms that has all of the equipment, all of the trainers, all of the classes, everything, the cafe with the fit food, everything in there. It's just you have to do it though.
Right.
And everybody who walks in a gym outside of health reasons, same with real estate, time wise. So when agents do it, the only thing that differs agents, who's going to put in the more time, you know?
Yep.
And some people have more time than others. So
We're going to
next
go
up,
over some
Heather,
examples now so that you
go ahead.
can
Yep.
get a little bit of a spin on these from us. Oh, is it only popping one at a
Oh
time?
no, yeah, I could go all of them. So
Oh yeah, go
there
all
we
of
go.
them.
I like that.
Yeah, there you go.
I
Yeah,
like to
go
look
all of them.
ahead.
So kind of what I was talking about before is um, minimizing the positive and maximizing on the negative. You have to train your brain to the opposite direction, right? You want to maximize the positive and minimize the negative when you're talking to things. Reflect on what may have gone wrong instead of what may go right. Oh, wait, I said that backwards.
Right.
Reflect on what may go right instead of what went wrong.
Mhm.
See, it's training the brain, right?
Exactly.
Number two is future cast. I can predict something in the future. Well, we can't, even though we would like to think that we can. But you can use your comparable market analysis to try and help you along the way. So get proficient with your MLS and also with making a CMA. And if you need help with that, you know where to go. Whether it's another agent or whether it's working with us and stuff like that, right?
Exactly.
Mind reading your clients. Okay, these clients thought. This goes along with the stuff that we've been talking about in previous sessions of knowing what your client actually wants out of the transaction. And the only way that they're going to know that is if you're talking to them and listening to what they actually want out of the
Mhm.
transaction, right? So don't
And
assume things.
right, and remember, they don't do this every day, so they might not know what they want. I mean,
True.
not that they know, they don't know what to say. So they're like, I'm looking, say the buyer, I'm looking for a house in this area. I want 3 bedrooms. I want 2.5 baths. I want this. I want that. But they don't know. Maybe they're always lived in, let's say, a colonial. They didn't understand. Oh, well, I could get a bungalow or I could get a ranch. They think that they want, but you might have to show them a little bit. It's kind of like back to the restaurant analogy. Someone comes in, they always order the same type of food, but they never try something else because they're used to that. So same with houses, they're used to whatever they've been, and they only do this a couple times in their lifetime. So you got to keep asking questions and thinking of things because back in the day when I personally had buyers and my own buyers and sellers are a little bit easier because they just want to sell their house. But when they're buying, they really want, I've had agents, I don't, or buyers say, I don't want to be on a main street. Oh, well, that meant to them, that meant they don't want the driveway on the main street. The driveway could be on the side street, but they could be on a main street, or they want 3 bedrooms, but didn't realize they could have a certain different style of house and different things like that. So always
Right.
keep an open mind and always ask questions. Go ahead.
Yep. Labeling people or labeling groups of people is a bad thing. And the example that I have here is all the agents with that company are bad. So we all have opinions about that one right there, right? But they're not all bad. Just because you've had a bad situation with a specific brokerage and an agent doesn't mean that every single person in that company is a bad person. If that were so, then anyone who had a bad transaction with Homestar would say that all of our agents are bad, right? That's not true. You're an individual. And if you're not working with Homestar and you're watching this from a different brokerage, same thing applies. Everyone is an individual and they all do things differently. So don't label people all in the same group. It could be home inspection company too. You might have had a really bad home inspection with a certain company. And so you don't want to use them over again. You can find out from that home inspection company if they have other inspectors, and just, you can say, well, I'd prefer to have someone else and not that person. That's okay, because you're looking out for the interest of your client, right? But you're not grouping that whole thing into one category, because it's not true. So you want to make sure that you're giving
Exactly.
everyone the benefit of the doubt, so to speak.
And last on this page.
Magnification of events. So that kind of goes along with what we were just talking about, but making things a mountain out of a molehill.
Yeah.
We were just talking about that,
Right.
right?
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Don't
For,
make mountains out of molehills, right?
I
And if your client makes a mountain out of the molehill, try and bring them back down to reality, and go through exactly what's happening so you can sort things out.
exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. It's just don't take on the emotions of your clients if they're, especially if they're going to the negative side of things, because it's a
Yeah,
stressful time for them to buy and sell. And sometimes if they take things personal, the things that you have to be that calm person, and you can't that's the one thing that I always, the pet peeve of I have when trying to have spend half of a conversation with an agent, have to bring them down emotionally because they got emotionally invested in it. It's kind of like your doctor. You don't want your doctor to be emotionally invested in it. You want them to have him or her have the calm. If something's wrong, you want the person that's going to handle it, not to be all emotional in it, if you know
yeah,
what I mean. But show respect, show empathy or sympathy, but don't, again, don't make it worse. So
right, right. Try
there
and
you go.
always stay the positive.
There we
Okay.
go. Next.
Um, all or nothing. So some people are just black or white thinking. There's no gray space in there. And maybe you are that type of person as well. So that's something that you might have to work on, because there is always going to be a happy medium somewhere, when, especially when you're negotiating with things. You can reach those goals. You just have to figure out, maybe it's not so black and white, this thinking. um, we were talking about the commissions and stuff like that, which we'll get into in later sessions, of course, after we know more. But even those are not going to be black and white anymore. So we have to open up our minds and expand our thinking to gray areas too, to try and make problems go away. Over a
Exit.
generalization is using words like never and always. So never and always are just stopping the conversation right where it is, right? And
Yes.
never and always could always make you out to be a liar, because you can't say this never happens or this always happens, because there is always a different aspect to everything. Real estate is mostly repetitive. We all know that. The documents are always basically the same. The steps are always basically the same. There's always going to be a wrench in the mix somewhere, so that is you can't say never, you can't say always, because something is going to change from each transaction. So just keep your mind open to those different possibilities, and try not to put yourself in the never and always category when you're talking to your clients. Make sense?
It does and should.
Things should be like this. So that is hopeful thinking, but it's not always realistic. So sometimes we have to remind them of what the realistic expectations are of people and things like that too. Um, so what kind of, if you get the gist of what's going on here, is we're trying to push yourself towards positive thinking of things and not dwell on the negative stuff, especially when you're talking to your clients or to yourself. I mean,
Yep.
to others, vendors and stuff. Mental filter dwelling on the negative, I just kind of said that, right? We don't want you
Right.
dwelling on the negative. We want you to try and find positive things and stuff like that. Um, some people have no filter at all. My little sister has no filter. So you got to watch everything that she says
Yeah,
because you never know what's going to come out of her mouth.
yeah, also with that, I guess might be connected to when I'm looking at that as overselling. You know, when you have to make your point across to your buyer seller what's happening, I think a lot of agents over deal with one issue at a time and don't have to give them everything that possibly could happen in hopes that it doesn't happen. Does that make sense? So yeah, we could tell a buyer, hey, you know, we start with a buyer, you know, you're in your head, you're going through all the scenarios. Oh, these buyers are approved for this, but we're going to come in so many offers, and this area that they're looking, there are going to be multiple offers all the time. The sellers are so tough, and there's limited inventory and this and that, and then you're telling them all about what's going to happen because it's mentally in your head. You're like, anticipating what you think you're going to be exposed to. And I think a lot of people like to do that kind of stuff. So when it happens to their buyers or sellers, they don't get mad. I'm like, you didn't tell me that was possibility. So sometimes we go into too much of all the possibilities. Like example, I tell when I have agents that explain way too much, I said, well, did you explain to them that a buyer, to your buyer that they might buy a house and the day before closing, the seller decide not to sell to them? And they're like, no. I'm like, yeah, see, that's an example. It's happened, but you don't explain that to them. You're only explaining to them probably too much of what you've been through and you're worried about stuff. But there's so many different scenarios that could happen. Concentrate on the positive things of what you're working towards. We're working towards a smooth closing. We're working towards finding a good house for you and a good seller that are going to be a good negotiations and a transfer of ownership well, and get you everything. You know, you're going over what you're trying to do and filter out all of those things that we get worried about. We hope we don't come into this situation, or hope we don't come into that listing agent, because I hate that, I hate that listing
Yeah,
agent,
right.
things like that. Sometimes that we have you have to, don't. So that's the point when I came up in my mind, is that you don't have to over explain everything that possibly could ever happen in hopes that they if they do happen, your buyer didn't say, you didn't tell me that was possible, things like that. All right,
Yeah,
good.
I agree with that. That's a good
Mhm.
scenario as far as that goes. Number 10 is personalization. The example I have is the client decided to back out because of something that I said. Very rarely is that going to happen. You're not going to say something to the client and then all of a sudden they're going to back out. If they're backing out, it's because they already had it in their mind that they didn't want to go forward with something anyway. They may latch on to something that happens or something that you said, but don't take things personal because it's usually not the case.
Right.
You do have extreme examples where it could be the case, but I'm telling you, that's not the case. That's not usually what happens. So,
Yeah, at least once a week I get a call from an agent, either our buyer or someone else's buyer on the listings, and like, can they get out of the deal? And that's kind of what brought that thought up, is like, see, are you going to say something? That's where so any of our agents always call Debbie or myself of what you can say, because I use the good or bad example. I said, well, can someone go through a red light? Yes. So
right.
can a buyer not close on a deal? Yes. Should they, or legally, should they be allowed continue? Yes. But it's the can, that word can, because you never want to get caught as an agent. It's like if you had a buyer that wanted to back out. Well, my agent said I can back out, and because I've had that happen not many times, but buyer called, well, the agent said I can. It's like, no, they say you don't. No one could force you to close. You're supposed to close. But there's very verbiage on there, so you want to watch what you say, so people don't do something based on what you said, especially if it's a legal issue. Always contact us so we make sure we have the right verbiage and things to say.
Yes,
So,
absolutely. And before you put it in writing, let us know.
yes, definitely, because texts and emails to people are in writing and have that, and you might say something in a text that was just something you said verbally, but they're confirming it, but that's not what you meant. But knock on wood, we haven't had any major issues with that as an office, but there's always a possibility to that. So,
Yeah.
go
So we're
ahead,
just
Deb.
going to reiterate a couple of the keynotes here. So when you're comparing yourself to someone else, you're releasing self-doubt, which is what we were talking about before. So you can train your inner voice to respond to yourself of what are they doing or what do they know that I need to know? Use the situation to grow and learn about other things, right? So if you're doubting yourself because someone else is doing something better, find out what kind of training they had or things like that and see if it's something that you can utilize. We have so much stuff here at the office between myself and Tony and Century 21 University that people don't take advantage of. So if you feel like someone's moving forward uh, and you're not, like find out what's available to you so that you can learn other products and stuff. I had someone today ask me about the 100 Days to Greatness that I do facilitate for Brian Buffini, and she said, well, why should I do that? Tell me why I need to do that. So I went into different reasons why it's a good thing. And one of the things I'm telling you is because she already told me that her ultimate goal is to become a broker. And if you don't structure your business so that it is a moving part of your life and that it's profitable and you're doing things correctly, how do you think that you're going to become a broker and teach other people how to do the same thing? You have to start from the beginning, right? So
Ex-
that's just one example of what I'm saying about learn from situations and grow. This is what so and so did, and that's why they're a broker. This is what so and so did, and that's why they're a big team, right? This is what they continue to do to continue to have their team grow and prosper, is because they're always doing something. So people don't just fall into things and it's like, oh my God, they're the luckiest person in the world. That's such a great gift. A lot of agents who are successful in this business because they work really hard at it.
Mhm.
Um, when your inner voice promotes self-doubt, tell yourself, stop it. It's not true. I'm learning and I am improving. And keep talking to yourself positively and it will happen. Number two, I'm new. Someone reminds me that I'm new and so therefore I don't know anything. And you can counter that and say, I may be new, but that means that I have the most current knowledge because you just got out of school or you're still learning now, right? I have energy and enthusiasm. These things are experienced agents don't have because maybe they're burnt out, right? I have experienced management team that is one phone call away from getting the answers that we need. And I tell everybody this all the time. It's so true, especially here because we are one text message away from answering you. And anyone who works here and uses that text line knows that we answer as quickly as we possibly can. So you are always connected at the phone, at the ear,
Exactly.
so to speak, like a hip, right? Number
Yep.
three, what if I make a mistake? Well, guess what? Everybody makes mistakes, right? So if you make a mistake, you don't let it sit there and fester. Don't try and hide it. Contact one of us right away. We'll help you fix the situation.
And next.
Um, a couple actions that you can do on your own is be a student. This is going to help you with your competence and your confidence, right? Learn your market. That showcases your expertise so that you can prove to others that you do know what you're talking about. Create a daily routine. Oh my goodness. So that you can make these actions a part of what you do every single day. So again, your time block and such. Show up at the office or to these video Zoom meetings so that you can learn from us and from other agents. Pick your colleagues wisely and ignore the naysayers. So by colleagues, I just mean everyone. surround yourself with positive people, people that are productive. If you want to succeed, you should be trying to surround yourself with people who actually do succeed. If you're always surrounded by people who are negative or naysayers, then that's going to be the life that you lead, because you don't know any different. So it's up to you to make the changes. We're just here to help you and guide you along the way.
Yeah.
This is my fun one. So I thought about Tootsie Rolls, and great service is how I roll. I'm here to help you or anyone you know with their real estate needs. You can put Tootsie Rolls in a little bag, and you can put that little tag on there along with your business card or a flyer or something, or you can post this on your social. But for some reason, Tootsie Rolls came into my brain the other day, and I'm like, oh, this would be a good one. So I kind of
Yeah, I
found a
like
picture
that.
of it and made it work,
I like it.
the Tootsie Roll.
And we got some classes coming
We
up.
got some classes. We got Mike doing DocuSign versus Dot Loop. The May 2nd one, which I totally can't wait for, is the buyer broker commission and closing costs that Hesh is going to go out, hopefully help us figure out ways to deal with all of the things that are going on in our life right now. Core Law is coming up on May 29th. Mike added that class, and 3 things to qualify for a mortgage with Hesh is going to be on June 6th. Those are the only ones that we have right now that we know of them. I do know that the Training Cove is having a special. If anybody needs to do their 30 hours of CEU, they're doing it for like $79, which is half of what everybody else has for the 30-hour classes. So if you need to do the whole bundle, you can check out the Training Cove there. And then I got one more, and this is for some classes with Century 21 University.
And last,
Yeah.
there we
And
go.
these classes are for anyone who wants to, these are free for Century 21 agents. The lead gen with the Sphere of Influence is going to be May 7th. You have to sign up for these classes though. And then they have Pipeline to Gold Mine lead conversion. That's a new class. I have no idea what they're going to be doing in there, but that would be a fun one, I feel, for all the agents to do. These are free ones that you find in the Century 21 University. The Pricing Confidence series is a great one. I think everyone should do this class. It's going to give you more insight on how to do your comparable market analysis, how you can talk to people about pricing, and guide your sellers and stuff. It is a 3-part series, but it's a good one. If you don't want to do the Pricing Strategy Advisor and pay the money to either the board or NAR, take these classes if you're Century 21 agents, because they're free. And it's going to give you a lot to your backbone on talking to people about pricing and stuff.
Well, that's good. I think we're good there.
Yep.
Stop sharing. There we go. Well, thanks for joining us today, everyone. And remember, lots of great information, but always, and I know Deb, you push us all the time, and I got to do a better job of pushing the Century 21 classes. I got to go in there and start putting those on my emails. I have the link, but I don't have the list of classes. I was doing that last year, but I'm going to do that again so they could see the classes coming up, because there's always so many good things coming up in that are free and that you get access to. And just take one little golden nugget out of all of them. Other than watching a show on Netflix, do something for an hour in the evening that might make you more money.
Yeah, right.
So,
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
good. So, all right. Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.